You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is, a very special show. We got a lot to talk about. But after today's show this weekend, I am going to be completely flat broke. Kathy and I had to do something today.
Oh, God, yes.
That is the biggest nightmare of any homeowner. We had to call a plumber.
Yes.
And a plumber's coming to our house over the weekend. So after the plumber leaves tomorrow on Saturday over the weekend, I'm going to be the brokest man on the block.
Could be.
I'm so scared. I don't know what it's going to cost. And believe me, I've done everything I can do to fix this problem. I can fix some things.
Yeah.
But this is beyond my ability.
No, we need professional help.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to need some professional help
Very
after we give all our money away.
Need some therapy
to the plumber tomorrow.
Yeah,
this is the second time since we've owned a home for 25 years, but this is only the second time in 25 years we've had to call a plumber.
Yeah.
And that's like and I know you guys will relate to me.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, the plumber is the call that you hate making more than any
I think
call.
so.
Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, let's get into the news as opposed to our personal problems. That's what I'm not looking forward to. Okay, there's a whole bunch we're going to talk about on the program today. I want to start though with really what is a mistake was made by my favorite conservative news outlet. They made a mistake with a story that they printed today. They got a little excited. People make mistakes. And that story is getting picked up and people are doing all kinds of crazy things with it. And what the story is, the Gateway Pundit had this story this morning and they were just wrong. Hey, they're right all the time. To be wrong once out of their thousands of stories. I love the Gateway Pundit.
Yeah.
But they have a story saying that George Soros endorsed Ron DeSantis. And I did talk about this on the radio this morning.
Oh, that's not even believable.
No, well, I'll read you the story. I talked about this on the radio this morning, but there has been a development that I'm going to get to in just a bit on this. And it's let me go to the original story. I saw this morning, and as soon as I saw the headline, I'm like, give me a break. What's the punchline? And I was surprised this happened at the Gateway Pundit, but it can happen to the best of us. Here's the headline in the Gateway Pundit. The kiss of death. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis endorsed by George Soros. And then it's a very long story. And then you scroll down and you get the quote. He gave an interview, George Soros. He does interviews all the time. And George Soros said this, "My hope for 2024, Trump and Governor DeSantis of Florida will slug it out for the Republican nomination. Trump has turned into a pitiful figure. Big Republican donors are abandoning him in droves. DeSantis is shrewd, ruthless, and ambitious. He is likely to be a Republican candidate." And that is it. What George Soros is saying there is that he wants Ron DeSantis to run against Trump so they destroy each other. They destroy the Republican Party, alienate the base of Republican voters, and it makes it easier for the Democrats to win in 2024. That's what he's talking about. Okay, and this story, I'm not going to give the Gateway Pundit a hard time. The Gateway Pundit is my favorite news source. They have all the stories that others won't print. It's like the Drudge Report used to be in its heyday. And they made a mistake. And how that happened, who knows? Maybe the regular people are off and they had some I don't know, but it was a mistake. So what? How many mistakes has the New York Times made and these other outlets? Give me a break. So the story, though, has been circulating around all day that George Soros endorsed DeSantis. And there's an update, which I'm going to get to in just a moment, that they brought Carrie Lake into this, and Carrie Lake is being slandered, really, by another outlet over this supposed endorsement by George Soros of Ron DeSantis. This story has been going around all day, and a lot of people that are good MAGA people have been talking about it. And it shows that this Republican establishment, left-wing, great MAGA divide they've been working on has had some effect. And people that are MAGA are forming two camps, the Trump camp and the DeSantis camp. Yeah. And I was talking earlier in this week, I discovered something early this week. This has not gotten a lot of publicity. Last weekend, here we're coming up on the weekend. Last weekend, Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump both spoke at President Trump's resort in Miami, Trump Doral. And they both spoke there. And it was a big event. It was a private event. It was not for the public, and it was for some big-time donors, journalists, and others. It was a very private affair. It's gotten really no publicity. Other than me talking about it, no one's talked about it.
Yeah.
And I think with this appearance that Governor DeSantis made, who of course we love, at Trump's resort, at Trump Doral, that's like him going to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I can't imagine he would go to Doral if they were having issues.
No, so obviously Trump and DeSantis are working together, and this is and this is new to me because I thought there was a problem. Christina Bobb told me there was an issue, right? She's President Trump's attorney, and now I realize that's not true, and now I know what's going on. President Trump needs to have primary opponents, and the reason he needs primary opponents is simple. The television coverage the Republican debates would get. President Trump's rallies are never going to be covered on cable news. Now that they've taken Newsmax off DirecTV and AT&T, very few people that get their news from television will see the Trump rallies in the 2024 race. In the last campaign, President Trump ran unopposed. There were not any debates. He didn't get any primetime coverage. Rallies weren't covered, no debates. The Democrats had endless debates. They're on in prime time on network television and on the cable news outlets. If President Trump has primary opponents, he's going to get primetime television news coverage to share his thoughts and ideas on everything. That's why Ron DeSantis very well may announce that he's running. They'll be highly rated, too, because people will want to hear DeSantis and Trump on the same stage. DeSantis and Trump are working together. They are not working against one another. I'm not talking about Nikki Haley, who announced she's a lowlife, okay? But Ron DeSantis is working with Donald Trump. Okay, so this Soros fake story of an endorsement that the Gateway Pundit messed up on. Again, I love the Gateway Pundit. I still love the Gateway Pundit. I go to the Gateway Pundit multiple times every day. I never go on the air or do the podcast here without going to the Gateway Pundit first to see if something new is broken. Mediaite, which is very left-wing, has an incredibly misleading story about this George Soros endorsement of Ron DeSantis. And I want to share this with you. It involves the great Kari Lake. One thing I think you'll pick up if you listen to me on the show here and on the radio and everything is you'll learn how to look at the media in a different way. You'll see biases that you never saw before, right? Here's the headline in Mediaite. Kari Lake turns on DeSantis, spreads lie he's been endorsed by George Soros. And then it goes on, says some things about her, talking about the BDE. Remember she said that DeSantis has BDE. You guys can look that up. I'm not going to tell you what it is. On Thursday, Kari Lake shared, this is in Mediaite. On Thursday, Kari Lake shared an article from the conspiracy mongering website Gateway Pundit. They are not conspiracy mongering. They're accurate news. Accompanied by its misleading title, The Kiss of Death, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis endorsed by George Soros. So I went to Kari Lake's Twitter to find out what she said about it. She said nothing about it. She did what I did. She retweeted the story. That's all she did. She retweeted the story from the Gateway Pundit about this, the story I just read from you, which, by the way, I retweeted like at 3 o'clock this morning, okay? When I saw this, when I read the news and I read an article that I might talk about on the show, I tweet it, and my stack of stuff is my Twitter feed, okay? I tweeted the story. She tweeted the story too. She didn't comment on the story. She didn't say anything about it. She just tweeted the story. It. And I thought this went out like years ago. This idea that a tweet or of a story or a retweet is an endorsement of something or someone. Yeah. That's so how they ridiculous. See it now. Well, that's because they want to cause a divide. They're trying to cause a divide between Kari Lake and DeSantis. She probably, Carrie Lake is a very smart woman. She looked at that.
And she knows how the media works too.
Yeah, she looked at that story like I did. She knew it was BS and she just retweeted it because she wanted people to see it, just like I did. And
I post stories in your Facebook group and, from all kinds of publications, and sometimes people get upset. Why are you posting this? It's not an endorsement. And I always say it's not that I'm endorsing this or agreeing with this. It's just so you can see what's being said about things. You can read for yourself and see what is being said out there in different, like I put an article by Rolling Stone up there today about the thing with Tucker Carlson, just so you can read everything and be well informed. I'm not saying I agree with this. It's just to let people in your thread know, you should read this or this is interesting or pay attention kind of thing.
Yeah. And for a time, there was a phase on Twitter a few years ago where people would have have a disclaimer in their Twitter bio.
Yeah.
Tweets and retweets are not endorsements.
Exactly.
Come on. Come on. Shame on Mediaite. And I'm sorry the Gateway Pundit made a mistake. That's why you guys, it's so difficult to be in this line of work. They're always watching you, and you get one thing wrong and they're all over you. You got to always be so careful. And I'm still consider the Gateway Pundit my go-to, even though everybody makes mistakes. It happens. It's no big deal. All right. So Don Lemon is in all kinds of trouble. And
he's in Miami now on one of those vacations that they send people off to when they're in hot water.
Yeah, the same one Tucker Carlson's going to be on, it looks like, one of those Foxcations. Don Lemon, I'm going to play the comments he made, then we'll get into the story. He made some comments when he was talking about women, which of course he knows nothing about, being a gay man. And Don Lemon, what he was talking about was Nikki Haley. Yeah. And he's got these two female co-hosts. And Don Lemon's a mess over there, okay, because he's been demoted. He had his own show in primetime. Now he's on in the mornings with two co-hosts he's got to share the show with.
Yeah, he's not happy.
No, Don Lemon, and obviously, he doesn't work well with women,
Probably doesn't work well with anybody. He seems like a real diva to me.
Well, women in general, from my experience, don't work well together always.
Well, I don't know about that, but.
And you get a gay guy in the mix with two women. Anytime you have three, you've got a gay man and two women.
Well, he's kind of like a woman.
And when you have
so it's really like three women.
When you have three women together, it's not two women. It's when you have three women. And Don Lemon being a gay man is, kind of.
I don't agree with you. I think that's a little sexist to say.
I didn't finish saying it yet. When you have three women,
I think that he's the problem. Whether he's gay or not, he's just a problem.
This is what happens when you have three women. Two always gang up on one of them. Two of them will bond and always go after the third.
Yeah, but that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is he's a bully.
He's bullying. That's happening too.
He's bullying the one, and he's rude and nasty.
Yeah,
and he has to work well with others for the first time, and he can't. He's not on his own anymore, and he's not a nice person. We can tell, and he's nasty, and he's been unhappy since they demoted him to this slot. No matter what he says,
yeah, and he's going to be fired soon. And he's going to be fired because this is getting out of control. There was a happening today, which I'll get to in a moment. But I want to play the comment that has caused the recent controversy with Don Lemon and his lady co-host. But he's had nothing but conflict with them since this show started.
Yeah.
But this is the latest. He was talking about Nikki Haley and all this stuff.
So that would include Trump. Elder statesman here.
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, it'll say, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. So I got another.
I'm not saying I agree with that.
Google it.
So I think she has to be careful.
What a moron.
He doesn't have much to do with women. He has to Google to learn about women.
So saying that politicians aren't in their prime.
You need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for like childbearing, or are you talking about prime for being president?
What the facts are. Google it. Everybody at home. When is a woman in her prime? It says 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm just saying Nikki Haley should be careful about saying that politicians are not in their prime, and they need to be in their prime when they serve, because she wouldn't be in her prime according to Google or whatever it is.
Oh my God!
And look, and you have to be careful because older people vote. Older people watch linear television, right? And so she has to be careful about turning off a certain constituency who may be her strongest set of supporters.
Yeah, so he's in all kinds of trouble, Don Lemon, and he's not used to this because he's a big star. Well, things are getting heated over this. This comment about Nikki Haley, this thing he said about women and Nikki Haley isn't the real problem. They just all hate each other, and this is just the excuse to push him out.
I'm sure that's part of it.
His days are numbered. Here's the headline in the Daily Mail. CNN boss Chris Licht condemns Don Lemon for upsetting, unacceptable, and unfair comments about women as sexist host hits back on staff call from Miami by saying people I am closest to are women. Really? Gay man, the people he's closest to are women? What's he mean, his mother?
His mother, his auntie, his grandmother.
Yeah, Don Lemon, age 56, so he's not all that
I guess he's not in his
young.
prime either.
Yeah, made several sexist comments when discussing Nikki Haley and her suggestion that politicians over 75 should face mental competency test. Don Lemon then took the day off today following the backlash, which saw him clash with his co-hosts Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins over claims Haley was past her prime. Don Lemon, who was in Miami, joined Friday's editorial staff phone call as pressure mounted on CNN to fire Don Lemon. So they're setting the stage. So he's on vacation down in Miami, hitting all the scenes.
First of all, okay.
Well, let me finish the story. And then they had this conference call today that he called in on from his vacation. His remarks were upsetting, unacceptable, and unfair to his co-host, and ultimately a huge distraction to the great work of this organization, Don Lemon said. During the call, Don Lemon said, "I'm sorry. I don't mean to hurt anyone. I did not mean to offend anyone. What I said came out wrong. I wish I had not said it. I believe women of any age could do anything they set their minds to. The people I am closest to in this organization are women. When I make a mistake, I own it. And I own this one as well. I understand why you are upset and disappointed." This is all during this conference call today. This leaked out because they hate him over at CNN, so someone leaked this out. It won't be long until the audio is leaked out. We have a transcript now, but the audio will probably be online by the week. If it is, I'll be playing it, believe me. I was trying to make the point that no one's age should define their ambition or potential for success. I was saying those comments to Nikki Haley. I'm going to continue to be who I am. Don Lemon also cited his relationship with Dana Bash, Aaron Burnett, and Amy Entelis, I don't know who that is, and his mom and his sister. His comments ruffled feathers when a senior CNN staffer rebutted and said, "This is great, but it's our viewers who deserve an apology," they said to Don Lemon. CNN employees called Lemon tone deaf after the call. After the call, they said he was tone deaf, with one saying it looked like he was giving himself a pat on the back for owning his mistakes. One CNN insider said that there was mounting pressure for Lemon to be fired after his continual gaffes on the early morning show. They told the Daily Mail, Don has been skating on thin ice for so long, and many wanted him fired in December when he freaked out at Caitlin Collins for no reason. She was in tears. It was unacceptable. Regardless of his political affiliation, his comments that Nikki Haley and Pastor Prime were disgusting. Poppy was fuming, as she should be, and still is. So Poppy wants him gone. He's rude, self-righteous, and clearly sexist. His apology meant nothing. This is the insider. This is at the scene.
You're right about whether it's men or women. You're right about the fact when you have three, and I don't know if this happens with Fox and Friends. It might. But when you have three people, you always end up eventually in a situation where it's 2 against 1. And you could tell when this show first started, I told you guys I watched it, I recorded an episode.
Yeah.
The three of them have zero chemistry, and you could tell right away they don't like each other. Now the 2 women might like each other. They should do the show with just those 2.
Yeah.
And get rid of him. You could tell right away there's no chemistry. He hates to be there. He left his own show with his own name to do this show. Whatever he says, it's a major demotion. It's humiliating for him. And he clearly cannot be gracious and work well with others and share the spotlight. And I think what he's trying to do is maybe get rid of them. So it's just him. That's not going to happen.
Right.
He's going to be the one to go, and the two women will be left standing. But this you did something like this when you were first starting in radio. You always told me with the show 20-something.
Yeah,
you had all these co-hosts, and you were so rude and abrasive. They all quit, and you were the last one left.
Yeah.
I think, but that's like what a 20-year-old does. You were like 20 years old. Now you're a grown man. You'd never do that. It's not professional. But Don Lemon is like a 50-year-old guy, whatever, 45, whatever he is. I don't know.
53.
53. Okay, he's older than me. And this kind of tactic is not going to work of getting them to quit. And I think that's maybe what he's trying to do, is to be so rude. But I will say this. What he said about Nikki Haley and all that, I don't think it's worth firing the guy over. It's not that big a deal. What he said, I think they just want him gone.
They want him gone.
Okay, but it's not that big a deal.
No.
I mean,
what he
Martin
said,
Bashir, what he said about Sarah Palin deserved to be fired.
What he said was no big deal.
This was not that big a deal.
And they're just using it as an excuse. Yeah. Here's what Don Lemon's problem is, okay? This is what his problem is. He's got a lot of problems. He's an egomaniac diva. There's no doubt about that. But his circle of friends, are working him up about these two women and getting him upset and putting he doesn't need a lot of pushing. He's in total self-destruct mode. And
I agree with that.
If I were CNN, I wouldn't fire him. I wouldn't let him off that easy. What I would do is something there is something he's very good at. No, not the stuff he's doing in Miami.
Make him a field reporter?
Yeah, I would send him around to cover.
Oh, my gosh.
I would send him around the country covering the high-profile news story, like have him at that Murdaugh trial or something, and have him go around covering things on the streets.
Yeah.
Because he's not too bad at that, even though he's done some fake reporting that way once. Remember, he was like, he had his
cameraman.
His cameraman or something was a witness.
Yeah, running from the mob or something. It was ridiculous.
But he's not bad I remember when he was like out on the streets interviewing people during some of the burning down of America during the Antifa BLM summer and all that.
First of all,
and he's
why
good
is
at that
he
stuff.
Googling when a woman is in her prime? Why did he even
Who Googles that? I don't know.
I mean, that's the question I would have asked is, why are you Googling that and when did you Google it? And the one woman said, when she wants to give birth? Yeah, women are in their prime in their 20s to give birth. But I think a woman professionally is in her prime in her 50s. That's how I always see the 50s, is that's when a woman, she's raised her kids and she's really settled in her career and has gone up the ladder. And I think that's when a woman is in her prime.
Well,
but he's obviously thinking in terms of sexuality or something weird. And I don't know why the hell he's even Googling this.
Yeah,
it's bizarre.
I'll tell you why. He knew they would be talking about this, so he was Googling it so he could sound smart. Yeah, that's right.
It backfired colossally. But what he means is a woman's in her prime when she's sexually desirable at these ages because
that's what it's because the whole gay world he's in is all about sex.
He is
that's all he cares about.
He is so inept when it comes to women. He has to Google.
I know.
To find out about women.
Isn't that something?
That shows you that he's like.
Yeah.
That shows you, honestly, because a lot of gay men have women friends and know a lot about women. But that shows you that he really does not like women and that he really does not take the time to even get to know women, that he has to Google when is a woman in her prime.
It's so bizarre.
And if he thinks that makes him look good, it makes him look very bad. But I will say this, he should not be on this show. They might keep him on there, though, because all this infighting might help their ratings. The show sucks, but those two women are hell-bent on him being gone, and they're going to work together to make sure it happens. And if it doesn't happen now, believe me, it will happen at some point, because the two of them are they're not going to have it. They don't want him there. They want him gone. And we'll see what happens. He doesn't seem to be too concerned. Maybe he wants to get fired. Maybe he wants out of his contract
now
with his severance pay.
This morning on the radio, Mike from Louisiana called me, and he was telling me about his great experience with the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. I'll probably take that call and make a commercial out of it because he just got this week his 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper, which is what Kathy and I sleep on. And he was talking about the great night's sleep he has been getting with this 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. He's sleeping the whole night through. He was having
game changer.
Yeah, he was having back and shoulder pains. They're now gone because he's sleeping on the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. It's absolutely amazing. And at MyPillow.com, the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper is 40% off with our promo code KANE, Kane, at checkout. The 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper comes in every mattress size there is, too. We have a queen size bed, or sometimes we call it a Don Lemon size bed. And that we have the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper for that. But it comes in every size from twin all the way up to California king and split king, and every size in between, including the hard-to-find RV queen size. So the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper, 40% off when you use our promo code KANE at checkout, Kane. And remember, you can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com with our promo code KANE at checkout, Kane. All right, we'll take a quick break and be right back.
Calling all NFT collectors. There's a hot new drop you won't want to miss. Optimus Force is a collection of limited edition NFTs living on the blockchain. Based on NFT comic books created with blockchain technology, Optimus Force is a game-changing NFT project. Holders of Optimus Force NFTs get exclusive access to rewards, staking, giveaways, and future token releases. Optimus Force is backed by a team ready to bring innovation and fun back into the NFT space by working hard to create a flourishing and rewarding ecosystem for all Optimus Force NFT holders. Join the Optimus Force NFT ecosystem right now by visiting optimusforce.in and following Optimus Force on Twitter right now. optimusforce.in. Want to know where all the bodies are buried? Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool. Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob. Welcome to Mob-Ammy Beach. This book is a fictionalized account of Miltenberg working at a mob-owned Miami Beach hotel in the 70s. If you're a fan of The Godfather, Goodfellas, or The Sopranos, you will love this story that's full of colorful characters and wisecracking wise guys. It's a story with everything from Playboy bunnies and weaponized parrots to shattering the glass ceiling and getting away with murder, all in paradise. This is a wise guy tale you've never heard. Surrounded by pools, the trick for Bobby Moskowitz was not slipping in the one thicker than water. Bobby lived to tell the tales, and now you can read all about it. The funniest mob novel since Jimmy Breslin's The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool. From author Robert Allen Miltenberg, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Are you looking for a unique and profitable business opportunity? Have you thought about an ignition interlock device business? To give offenders a second chance, courts are often willing to allow convicted DUI drivers to install interlock devices so they can continue to drive their vehicles. These devices work by having the driver perform a breathalyzer test in order to start their car. More and more judges are offering these devices, and you can learn everything you need to know in the book, How to Start an Interlock Business, available online at theinterlockbook.com. This downloadable ebook has tons of useful information that you won't find anywhere else. In this must-read book, you'll learn how to find ignition interlock partners, how to pick the right business model, understand the different types of services, learn to analyze potential service center locations, discover how to streamline business operations, how to apply for the right business license, how to stay in compliance, and much, much more. What are you waiting for? Don't blow and drive. Read and buy the book, How to Start an Interlock Business, online at theinterlockbook.com. That's theinterlockbook.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay. So yesterday, Biden had this ridiculous press conference telling us that the Chinese balloons aren't Chinese, that they're $12 balloons that some individuals sent up. So you mean to tell me they sent up U.S. fighter jets and launched missiles at $12 balloons people ordered on Amazon?
Baloney.
Nobody buys that
He
crap.
got the phone call from China, and they told him what to say.
Yeah. I mean, you know, even if they were from Amazon, they're still from China. Everything on Amazon's from China. But they were not – they didn't – you know, if General Millie Vanilli sent up U.S. fighter jets to shoot missiles at $12 balloons individuals bought on Amazon. That's scary.
How much did that cost then? How much money did that cost?
Each missile was $400,000.
Plus the fuel.
Yeah.
And having the jet go up there.
Millions of dollars.
Couple $1 million.
Yeah, for all of the balloons.
That's a colossal lie.
No, nobody buys that.
And the media, shame on them for letting them get away with it and just perpetuating that. Nobody's investigating this. Does anybody look into anything anymore?
The stories almost disappeared. The stories disappeared.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Stories move along so quickly now, and they want it. The news. It's like something peaks very fast, and they want to move on to the next thing. Yeah. They don't bother looking into anything because they know, you know what? Nobody's going to care in 3 days. Let's move on to something else.
Uh-huh. So Biden, he took some questions, and he got asked some very rough questions about his dealings with China, and he wouldn't answer them. And I know that this exchange was on television, but I have what was on the microphones after the TV cut away. They were still recording. And the microphones were picking up the reporters. Oh. And you could hear what the reporter said. Now, the reporter that asked the question that got Biden upset here, and the one you hear on the mic is the same one, the hot mic. It's not a Fox News reporter or Newsmax or anything. It's an NBC reporter. So this is a liberal reporter from liberal NBC News. So listen, this is the exchange that everyone's seen. And then at the end, we'll hear the hot mic moment that I'm surprised they're not playing on television because the reaction of the reporter was amazing. Listen.
Yeah.
There's been criticism that this was. There's been criticism that this.
Trying to compromise by your family's business relations.
Sir, Mr. President.
Have you been compromised by your family's business relations with China? That's the great question. And this is NBC asking.
Business relations.
Sir, Mr. President, there has been criticism.
Did you overreact?
Mr. President, there has been criticism that this was an overreaction that was done because of political pressure.
You come to my office and ask the question when they have more polite people.
Mr. President, why have you chosen Poland for your trip to mark anniversary of the war? And what's your message? What?
When are you speaking to President Xi, Mr. President?
That seems bad.
He said when you have more polite.
Okay, now he just walked away. Now, and then you can hear the reporters mumbling. Listen.
That seems bad.
He said when you have more polite.
He says we have full respect.
Peter,
take your question.
well, I mean, he can't hear everyone shouting.
That does not help our ability to get information out of the president.
He was going to answer
everybody. That's a really poor way to handle that.
One of them said, unbelievable. And these are the liberal reporters in the White House press corps saying, I can't believe what's he doing? He can't. He's not answering any questions. One said he can't hear.
No, he can hear fine.
Yeah. And they were
screaming at him. How can he not hear?
He's confused.
No, he's not. You're giving him an excuse.
Yeah,
no, he can hear. Confused. He knows exactly what's going on, and he doesn't want the truth to come out. He's a coward. He's corrupt.
This is amazing because these reporters that are this upset and outraged at him are usually his allies. These are liberal reporters, and even the liberal reporters, Biden is so corrupt, so evil, so bad. Even the liberal reporters had it with him.
Well, they don't want him to run again, so they're not going to make it easy for him. They want to. He is going to. I don't care what anybody says. There's no way his wife is going to walk away from this.
No,
she wants to be the first lady as long as possible. It comes with tremendous perks. And what's going to happen to them when he's no longer in office? She's going to be stuck with him in Delaware, sitting around feeding him Jello all day long,
changing his diapers.
She doesn't want to do that. She wants to stay in the White House. I don't blame her. It's a good gig. Mm-hmm. You know, you get to meet interesting people and decorate for Christmas and have luncheons and teas and all kinds of fun things. And she doesn't want to give that up. So she's going to make him run. He'll walk into the nomination, maybe. And we'll see what happens. But I know there's a lot of other people that they want to get in there aside from him. But he's not going to quit. He's not going to resign.
No.
And they're not going to impeach him or do anything. Nothing's going to happen.
They're
stuck with him. Sorry. Well, you voted for him. You're stuck with him for another 2 years at least. And God forbid another 4 after that.
Everyone agrees Biden's a racist. And when someone's a racist like that, their spouse is too. They've been married a long time. She's a racist too. And can you imagine? So? Could you? She'd have to be put up with his crap. She's just like him. Can you imagine? Think about this. You've got 2 hardcore liberal Democrat white racist. For 8 years, they had to walk behind two black people, Barack and Michelle Obama. A racist doesn't like doing that. And they're not going to walk away from this. There's too much power, too much prestige, and everything else. Jill would not let him not run. He is definitely running. There would have to be a big happening to stop him from running. And you look at these scandals, the balloon stories evaporating, the document story is already gone. The train derailment, that's going to pass him by too.
I wasn't really following that, but I read some articles on it yesterday, and I watched J.D. Vance is there doing what he can. But
that was amazing when J.D. Vance threw the rock in the creek and you could see the chemicals come up.
I mean, I'm sure he's doing what he can do, but I feel very bad. These are people in a rural part of Ohio. This is not, believe me, if this happened in like Palm Springs or, or
Florida
or like Palm Beach, they'd be cleaned up right away. It's been 2 weeks and I feel really bad. All they're doing is going on TV and telling you the water's clean, the air's clean, and their governor. How could you guys have elected this guy? Talk about no energy. He's hunched over. He looks like a little dwarf. And I don't mean like a little person. I mean like, I don't know. He's just the way he's dwarfed over. Like, I mean, his demeanor, the way he carries himself. He's like meek and timid, and he's not like a go-getter. He's not like, we're going to fix this. We're going to help you. He's just like, we're testing the water and we checked 5 houses. And oh my God, I said to you today, I said, would this make you want to drink water? I said they need to bring this guy a glass of water out of one of their house. I feel so bad.
Well, and it's
awful.
The EPA administrator says he thinks he and his family could drink from well, go drink from it then.
It really makes a difference who you elect, because when things like this happen, they haven't even declared a state of emergency.
You sure?
In Ohio. Yeah, because the EPA is not going in. Because you have to declare a state of emergency.
You sure they haven't done that yet? I can't imagine.
I'm pretty sure I saw that on the news today. I could be wrong,
had to have done it by now.
They need all their resources in there now to clean this mess up. It should have been cleaned up by now. I mean, look what we had. Not a derailment, but we had a massive, massive hurricane on the West Coast last year. And Ron DeSantis literally built a bridge in a week. Built a bridge to connect an island to the mainland so the people could get off the island. They were trapped. And he was on top of it from day one. Even his wife raised $40 million. I donated to her thing. They were on top of it from day one. They were in there. They were down there cleaning things up. He was there the next day. He wasn't on TV. Oh, well, we tested it and you can drink it. No. So I'm praying for the people in Ohio. I saw some of the people on TV. They were in tears. These are not rich people. They can't just pick up and leave. They're trapped, and it's a horrible, horrible situation.
Oh, yeah. It absolutely
All the liberals
is.
do is blame. They never fix anything.
Yeah, today I got a call from a woman who's a Trump supporter, and she believed this story they've been saying on the news, that there was some regulation on trains that Obama put in place that Trump lifted that's responsible for the accident. So I asked her, I've heard this story. I said, what regulation did Trump lift that allows fires on trains to take place filled with deadly chemicals on them? I'd like to know what that rate shows. Well, I don't know. They didn't say what regulation exactly. I remember when George W. Bush was president. I don't remember if this was his first or second term, but I haven't thought about this in so long, so I don't remember all the details, but there were some miners trapped in a coal mine in America. Remember this?
Yeah.
And they were blaming Bush for this coal mine accident because of some administrator
they blamed him for Katrina, remember?
Accidents. Yeah, they blamed him for Katrina, like he had some weather control device. Accidents happen, disasters happen, and freak accidents happen. I know some people think this may have been eco-terrorism because those eco-terrorists have targeted trains, and that's possible.
So they don't know what caused the derailment?
No, there's some reports that the train was on fire for several miles before it derailed. I don't know if those have been confirmed or not. But
Biden's into trains. I mean, you think he'd be all over this.
Accidents happen, okay?
Yeah.
Where you see who's competent and who's not is in the aftermath of tragedy.
That's exactly right.
George Bush is a war criminal. Let's make no mistake about it. But after 9/11, when he went to Ground Zero with the firefighter, that hurricane that hit the Gulf Coast of Florida last year that Kathy is talking about was one of the worst hurricanes I've ever seen. And we've been through a lot. And
destroyed that whole area.
Those islands out there that were cut off from the mainland, DeSantis didn't wait for the federal government to build a bridge. Not only did he build a bridge, it was a big bridge and a long bridge. I am shocked.
Yeah.
And he had semi-trucks taking food out there to the people. I mean, it was quick. I couldn't believe it.
He had big public semis taking food, water, supplies.
It was amazing. And, so that you get to see who is competent and who is not when these disasters happen. And right now, the government, it's not just that the government's being run by this corrupt, senile old coot Biden. Everyone he's appointed is because they fit a category. Okay, we need to have a gay cabinet member, Pete Buttigieg. We got to have an EPA chief who's African-American. Right. Okay, check. They're not hiring
who also seems gay.
Yeah, they're not hiring people based on qualifications.
No, and that's the problem. They don't hire people based on qualifications. They hire people based on the boxes they can check.
Or political favors.
So they can pat themselves on the back and say, oh, look, we're woke. And we're progressive, and look who we hire. Nobody likes Pete Buttigieg, and he has had several challenges in the last 2 years that he has not risen to. And so I don't think he has much of a political future because he's had
Mayor Pete.
Yeah, he's had this issue, which he's dropped the ball in Ohio, which is a very important state. He's had issues with airlines. He had issues. What was the other transportation thing? He's too busy calling highways racist.
The baby formula.
The baby formula issue. He has had many, many problems and very little solutions. So I don't think this position that he was put in as a favor is doing him any favors.
No, but he did talk about those racist bridges. What an idiot.
He's a jackass.
And
I'm sorry.
And the thing about Mayor Pete, he's so arrogant and stupid.
He is stupid.
That he doesn't realize he's incompetent.
Can you imagine him and Kamala on a ticket together? Dumb and dumber.
He actually thinks he's an accomplished person. He does not realize he's incompetent. He doesn't realize he's over his head.
One of the dumbest girls I knew in college was a math major, and she was very good at math, like Einstein level. Very book smart. But you had a conversation with her. She was I could tell you things she said that just absolutely would make you go, what? Oh my goodness. And this is not a joke. I'm telling you something she said in my sorority house. I told Brian the story before.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
Around the lunch table.
It's crazy.
I'm not joking, guys. I'm not joking. This girl was a math major. She ended up being a teacher. Smart math person. We're sitting around the table talking about different fraternities and we're talking about the Ku Klux Klan. Somebody was learning about it in class or something. We were talking about it. So somebody said the KKK, and this girl, there's like 6 of us sitting around. This girl, she says the KKK, is that new black fraternity?
Yeah, she was serious.
And we all looked at her, and I said, "Are you kidding me right now?" And she says, "No, what is it?"
Oh my
she
gosh.
was dead serious.
Yeah.
I had explained this to her. So just because somebody that is a true story. Just because somebody is really book smart or smart in like math or science or something doesn't mean that they're intelligent or have common sense.
Yeah.
And here you have a guy, like you said, maybe he's really book smart. And
I wouldn't assume that.
Maybe not.
I wouldn't assume Mayor Pete's
just well connected.
He's with the Kennedys. I've been telling you.
But it's what somebody does that matters. You can say anything. Platitudes, they're meaningless. You could have somebody who is not so smart, but they're competent.
Yeah.
And you give them a job and they do it right. They might not have a high IQ and they might not have even a high school education, but they're competent and they have common sense. I would take somebody over some Ivy League educated egghead who doesn't know their A from their elbow.
Well, now, one person that's very smart is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I want to play this audio of her.
That's true.
They're going after Marjorie Taylor Greene today. She said something that makes a lot of sense. She was talking with Don Jr., and she said this.
Don, I can't understand why we're fighting a war in Ukraine.
I can't either.
We're not bombing the Mexican cartels who are poisoning Americans every single day. And I know that sounds extreme. I'm not talking about the Mexican government or the Mexican people. I'm talking about the cartels.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know, the cartels need to be put out of business. I mean, you know, this fentanyl crisis is being done by the cartels in China, and we could put a stop to it today.
Because
if they wanted to do it.
Because they want it to happen. They're working with China to turn a blind eye to this, to drug up the country.
That's right.
And that's another aspect of China's plan. You know, she's becoming. We gave her a hard time for getting in with Kevin McCarthy.
She was right. She was working for Trump.
But let me tell you something.
We were wrong.
Sometimes in politics, you have to learn how to play the game to get ahead. And she knows how to play the game, and she knows who to play. She is becoming very powerful in Congress. In a few more terms, she is going to be extremely powerful in that House. She's all in with McCarthy now. He's put her on the head of a bunch of committees, and she is very connected now. And she is still very loyal to Trump. So sometimes you have to align yourself with certain people to get things done, you know, that to elevate yourself for the greater good or for causes what you have to that are really, really important.
Yep.
And I think she is very savvy, a hell of a lot more savvy than Boebert, that's for sure. She's very savvy. She knows who to line up with, and she's extremely ambitious. And she is very smart because she's playing the game very well.
And you see, she's always with the top people, right? Trump,
That's exactly
Don
right.
Jr., McCarthy. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support. And, you know, if you would like to support this program, a great way to do that is by becoming a Patreon supporter. And, you know, when you become a Patreon supporter, you're supporting all the content that I bring to you. And you guys know I bring a lot of content. And I really thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support. It helps us out a lot, and it means a lot. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Chuck, Gary, ETW, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, D, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Maria, Paulette, and Carlos. Now, if you would, these are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description, and there's also a direct link on my website, BrianCraigShow.com. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
Take your financial game to the next level. Take control of your financial and personal well-being with The Winning Playbook from authors Rob Welsh and Jonathan R. Scott, available on Amazon. This is the essential guide to transforming your career into a money-making machine and becoming the CEO of your own legacy. Financial empowerment expert Rob Welsh and former NFL offensive tackle Jonathan R. Scott have dedicated themselves to successfully coaching athletes of all levels to make their money work for them. The Winning Playbook is your personal financial coach, giving you the ins and outs of how to make the most of the rewards from your hard work. You will learn what you must know to get what you want from life. It's a well-written, practical personal finance book and a must-read for athletes and entrepreneurs alike. From authors Rob Welsh and Jonathan R. Scott, The Winning Playbook, Strategies for Life on and off the Field. Order your copy on Amazon right now.